My name is Amelia Cooper, and I work as a doctor in the emergency room at Boston's Massachusetts General Hospital. I am 32 years old. I'm about to tell you about a time when I was very close to dying, and Jesus showed me the shocking truth about what happens to people after death. I saw for myself the realms beyond this life and what the dead are really doing now. That experience changed the way I think about life, death, and existence forever. But before we start, please let me know where you're hearing from. Even though we're not together, it will be nice to feel closer. Don't forget to mark this story as liked and share your thoughts on what you thought about it. Let's talk about this in an honest way so we can all learn from each other. Have fun listening. Everything changed on a cool October morning. I had just come off a 10-hour overnight shift in the emergency room that was very hard. As I walked to my car in the hospital parking lot, the sun was just starting to show itself over the horizon. I could already feel my mind wandering to my warm bed at home. I remember one last look at my phone at 6:48 a.m. before getting in my car. That's when it took place. A crushing headache appeared out of nowhere as the first sign. Right after, I felt so dizzy that the parking garage seemed to spin around me. It was hard for me to get my arm to move so I could call for help on my phone. As a doctor, I knew what was going on. I was having a stroke. I didn't miss the irony that I was having. A stroke right after years of helping people who had had them. Before everything went black, the last sound I could remember was my car keys hitting the carpet. In the end, I found out that another doctor ending his shift had found me unconscious next to my car. I had a massive hemorrhagic stroke because of an arteriovenous malformation that had not been diagnosed. I had had this problem since birth but never knew about it. The hospital records show that I was technically dead for 11 minutes and 23 seconds. But in those 11 minutes, I had an experience that would change the way I think about what happens after we die forever. The strange feeling of not having any weight was the first thing I remember after the darkness. It was cold outside, and I looked down at my body laying on the ground in the parking garage. Few people had gathered, and my co-workers, some of whom I had worked with for years, were trying very hard to save my life. Our chief of neurology, Dr. James Chun, was pressing on the chest. Rachel Thompson, my best friend and fellow ER doctor, was setting up the defibrillator. Her hands were calm, but tears were running down her face. I desperately wanted to let them know I was okay, that the unbearable pain was gone, and that I felt a strange sense of peace wash over me, but I couldn't. What struck me most about those times was that there was no fear at all. Even though I could see my dead body below, I was at peace. It was like all the stress, anxiety, and fear that had been with me all the time as a doctor had just gone away. I had a strong sense that everything was right and that I was exactly where I needed to be. After that, everything changed. From the parking lot, I felt like I was being pulled into what looked like a tunnel of pure, bright light. The movement was so fast that it felt normal, faster than anything I had ever seen or felt. It got brighter, but it didn't hurt my eyes. It felt more like coming home after a long trip, warm and friendly. I began to notice something strange as I moved through this tube of light. My awareness was growing at a very fast rate. Things in my mind became clearer and deeper. I suddenly understood things that had been puzzling me as a doctor. The deep secrets of life and death that science couldn't explain. Before, it was like I was seeing everything through a foggy window. Now, the window was clear. When I came out of the cave, I was in a place that can't be explained by words on earth. These are colors that don't exist in the real world. They were unlike anything I'd ever seen before. I could feel music in the air, and it was so beautiful that it made me cry. These weren't real tears, though. I became aware that I did not have a body anymore. I was instead just pure consciousness or awareness. That's when I saw him. Jesus stood in front of me, but not in the way that Christian art usually shows him. At the same time, his presence was intimidating and very familiar. He gave off such a pure and strong love that I fell to my knees. Or at least that's how I felt, even though I wasn't there. The tube wasn't as bright as his light, but I wasn't scared to look right at him. His eyes held all the knowledge in the world as well as an endless amount of kindness that made me feel known and loved. He told Amelia, "You need to see this." His voice was not real. It felt more like pure thought was being sent straight into my mind. With a wave of his hand, the space around us changed, and I saw what I can only call the shocking truth about what happens to souls after death. Jesus told them, "What you're about to see is the truth about what the dead are doing now, which not many people on earth understand." He took me to a place he called the third heaven, which was so big I could not even begin to understand it. It was not limited by the rules of physics or the way we measure things. Instead, it looked like it was in more than one dimension at the same time, with different places or states of being overlapping and connecting with each other. Jesus explained that this is not the end heaven, but rather a place where souls go, right after they die. Imagine it as a holy rest stop, a spot where you can heal, learn, and get ready for the next step. He started to show me different parts of this realm, each with a different job for the souls that lived there. The Gardens of Peace was the name of the first place he showed me. It looked like golden light was bathing these souls. The way they looked made them look like they were deeply relaxed and happy. Some of them looked like they were in a deep state of prayer or meditation, while others were quietly taking in the beauty around them. The land itself was alive, with colors and designs that moved and changed based on what the souls were feeling and thinking. Jesus said that these were the hearts of people who lived lives of love and service. While they wait for the final revival, they rest here, getting smarter and more at peace. During their time on earth, they were kind, caring, and truly wanted to help others. Now they are enjoying the first results of their good deeds. I saw that these souls seemed to shine with their own inner light. Some looked brighter than others. Jesus answered my unsaid question by saying that the brightness you see shows how much they let God's love work through them while they were on earth. But even now, they are getting brighter as they learn more about divine love and grow closer to it. The second area, which Jesus called holes in learning, really shocked me. In this place, souls were actively taking part in what he called divine learning. There were what looked like amphitheaters of light in the space where new souls worked with more advanced beings who were teachers of great knowledge and kindness. I watched as people went through life reviews, not as a way to judge them, but as a way to learn a lot. Not only could they see what they had done in their earthly lives from their own point of view, but they could also see how it had touched everyone else. Instead, it looked like it was in more than one dimension at the same time, with different places or states of being overlapping and connecting with each other. Jesus explained that this is not the end heaven, but rather a place where souls go, right after they die. Imagine it as a holy rest stop, a spot where you can heal, learn, and get ready for the next step. He started to show me different parts of this realm, each with a different job for the souls that lived there. The Gardens of Peace was the name of the first place he showed me. It looked like golden light was bathing these souls. The way they looked made them look like they were deeply relaxed and happy. Some of them looked like they were in a deep state of prayer or meditation, while others were quietly taking in the beauty around them. The land itself was alive, with colors and designs that moved and changed based on what the souls were feeling and thinking. Jesus said that these were the hearts of people who lived lives of love and service. While they wait for the final revival, they rest here, getting smarter and more at peace. During their time on earth, they were kind, caring, and truly wanted to help others. Now they are enjoying the first results of their good deeds. I saw that these souls seemed to shine with their own inner light. Some looked brighter than others. Jesus answered my unsaid question by saying that the brightness you see shows how much they let God's love work through them while they were on earth. But even now, they are getting brighter as they learn more about divine love and grow closer to it. The second area, which Jesus called holes in learning, really shocked me. In this place, souls were actively taking part in what he called divine learning. There were what looked like amphitheaters of light in the space where new souls worked with more advanced beings who were teachers of great knowledge and kindness. I watched as people went through life reviews, not as a way to judge them, but as a way to learn a lot. Not only could they see what they had done in their earthly lives from their own point of view, but they could also see how it had touched everyone else. The universe was filled with waves of love that went out from every kind word, act, and moment. On the other hand, every mean word, selfish action, and cruel moment had sent out waves of darkness. Jesus made it clear that this wasn't about punishment when he saw my worry for souls seeing their mistakes. It has to do with growth and understanding. To evolve and move forward, every soul needs to see and understand how their decisions really affect others. He showed me a soul thinking about a time when they were kind to a loser and gave them money for food. In the review, they could see how that one act had not only helped the person buy food that day, but also made them believe in people again. Because they had faith again, they got help, changed their lives, and now they help other people. Over time, that one act of kindness had changed the lives of hundreds of people. Then Jesus showed me something that really hit home for me because I work as a doctor. Someone I didn't know was talking about his life's work as a doctor. He saw not only the patients he had saved, but also how those saves had helped other people. People who would have died without his help having children, people who would have died without his care, making scientific breakthroughs, and people whose lives he had extended doing kind things. But he also saw the times when he had made bad choices because he was tired or proud, or when he had handled his patients like conditions instead of people. Jesus told me that your job is holy. Healthcare workers are always on the edge of life and death, between the physical and the spiritual. But the real healing isn't just for the body. In another part of the room, I saw something that made me cry, but they weren't real tears. Souls worked together to help people who were still alive. Jesus said that these are what people usually call protection angels. A lot of souls have decided to stay in this world to help guide and watch over the living. I recognized my dad among them. He looked just like he did when he was young, full of life and love. He had died 5 years before from pancreatic cancer. In an instant, I understood how he had been helping to guide our family since his death when he smiled at me. I saw beautiful reunions between family members who had been split by death, but these were not just normal family reunions. Souls who had been enemies in life were getting along again because they saw the bigger picture behind their fights on Earth. He said that there is no such thing as time here on Earth. Healing and progress that might seem to take hundreds of years can happen in what the Earth calls moments. Each soul moves forward at the exact speed they need to. After that, Jesus showed me something that made me question everything I thought I knew about death. In one place, souls with more advanced levels were actually making new worlds. Jesus revealed that these souls have learned enough to help God create the world. I was amazed as these beings worked with pure energy to help create new worlds and life forms, and even to help guide the growth of planets that were already there. Jesus said that Earth is just a small school in a very big world of learning. Souls can grow and change in a huge number of worlds and dimensions. The universe you see and touch is only the start. He then showed me something that broke my heart. A place where souls had decided to stay in the dark. This place, in contrast to the others, felt cold and alone. Jesus said that these souls have not yet chosen to be loved and healed. But pay close attention, he warned. I saw beings of light loving these souls all the time, never letting up or condemning them. Jesus said this is real love from God. It doesn't force or judge, but it also doesn't give up. Every soul, no matter how lost, will find its way back to love in the end. The question is not if, but when. Then Jesus told them something very important about how things are now on earth. He said that people are at a changing point. What people do now will have a big impact on the future, but don't forget that everyone has free will. The future isn't set in stone. Some possible futures were so beautiful I couldn't even imagine them, while others were so scary I couldn't even stand to think about them. I imagined a future where people had learned to get along with each other and with nature, where technology was used to help everyone, and where choices were made with love and wisdom. But I also saw possible futures in which people's choices caused a lot of pain and damage. He said, love is the key. Love that does things, not just feelings. Not only does every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, and every choice for peace over conflict change a person's mind, but it also changes the future of all people. At that point, Jesus showed me something that amazed me: the web of all life. Every soul was linked to every other soul, and every action had an effect on the whole. Love was the thing that held everything together. He said this is why forgiving is so important. Giving forgiveness to others helps you heal, and it also helps heal the whole world. I saw how prayers and love thoughts changed the world by making light patterns. I watched as people on earth sent prayers to their loved ones, and I saw beings of light receive and answer these prayers. There were times when the solutions came out of the blue, but every sincere prayer was heard and answered. It really moved me as a doctor to see how recovery could happen on a spiritual level. When we treated a patient with true compassion, it sent healing light through their body and into their soul. I realized that some of the most important things I did as a doctor weren't the big saves in the emergency room, but the quiet ones, like holding the hand of a scared patient, listening to an old person's stories, or comforting a family member who had lost a loved one. Jesus told me that being a doctor is a holy trust. But the body isn't the only thing that heals. Every interaction is a chance to show love, give hope, and help a person remember that it is divine. Jesus gave me a job when he told me it wasn't my time yet. He told them to tell them what they saw. Tell them that every person has a journey that never ends, that love is the strongest force in the world, and that no one is ever really lost. Before I went back, Jesus told me one last truth that really hit me hard. He said that the idea of separation is the biggest one. All souls, all beings, and everything in the universe are linked in ways that your brains on earth can barely grasp. You love yourself as much as you love other people. You hurt yourself when you hurt other people. This is why love and forgiveness are so important. It is these forces that heal not only individual souls, but also everything in the world. He showed me that every loving action makes waves of light that go through all of reality and heal and improve everything they touch. On the other hand, acts of hate and fear make shadows that must be changed by love in the end. He said that learning to change darkness into light, fear into love, and difference into unity is the great work of all souls. All of a sudden, I felt like I was being pulled back. Jesus told Amelia, "Remember that love is more than a feeling. It's a choice that must be made over and over again in every moment." This was the last thing I heard. With my coworkers all around me, I gasped awake on the concrete floor of the parking basement. The fourth shock from the defibrillator had just been given. The hospital record said I had been clinically dead for 10 minutes and 29 seconds, but I felt like I had been alive for all those minutes. The neurologists were amazed at how well I got better. Even though the stroke was very bad, I didn't have any long-term problems. In a few weeks, I was back at work in the ER, but I wasn't the same person. I had a whole new view of my job as a doctor after that. The most important thing I learned is that the things that dead people are doing now are much more beautiful and useful than most of us think. They're not just resting in peace, they're also learning, growing, getting better, and even helping to make the future of life. The love that binds all souls together never ends. It only gets stronger as we move through the different worlds. This story isn't meant to change anyone's mind about their religion. Instead, it's meant to give people hope and understanding about the journey we're all on. Even if you don't accept what I say, I hope you can get this one important truth from it. Love is the force that makes the world move, and every act of love, no matter how small, spans time and space. If you're wondering what your loved ones who have died are doing now, know that they're not just watching over you. They're taking part in the biggest growth and change process you can imagine. They are learning, getting better, helping others, and waiting for the day when we can all be together again in a world where love is not just a feeling, but the very fabric of reality. People who have died are still alive and well, and they are taking part in the greatest adventure of all, the evolution of awareness. And one day, we'll all know this to be true. We need to learn to love more deeply, forgive more easily, and live more fully until then. Every choice we make affects not only our own soul's journey, but the journey of everything in the universe,